I'm Noah Pred, and you're watching Studio Feed. I make music because I really don't know what else to do with myself. The idea of, spending my time doing something else is really foreign to me at this point. It's just part of who I am and part of how I live my life, and I don't think that I could separate myself from that at this point as a being. Parents got me piano lessons, that kind of thing, when I was 8 or 9. My brother played bass guitar in bands, my older brother, and that was very influential for me. The influence from my brother was more about funk and soul music. 12 or 13, I decided I want to play guitar, that kind of thing. So I ended up with this 4-track recorder in my home and a TR-505 drum machine, this little realistic Moog, and my guitars and stuff. Somewhere in my folks' place there's some lost tapes of all this stuff that I did, because every day after school I would come home and record like 1 or 2 tracks, like every day. My first rave when I was like 16, I guess, in Victoria, and it just hit me. I was like, oh, okay, this is where the funk is that I was looking for. So right away I knew that I saw the DJ playing. I was like, okay, I want to be in that position. From there it was like, okay, I'm gonna start saving up for turntables. Got some money saved up halfway to the mark I had set for myself. I thought, well, why would I want to spend other people's music on? I can make my own. So I instead put that money towards an old chord workstation. And this is when I was 16, picked up one of those and started making electronic music, and yeah, the rest is history. In 1997, I was doing all these live PAs out west of the Sci-Fi Witch Doctor. That was like my moniker at the time, right? I was an excited kid, and it was just like this whole thing I created for myself. I was playing shows with Rennie, Dubnut Foster, Tiger. Tiger Dula, some of the guys from Cobblestone Jazz. All those guys were living in Victoria around that time. And I came up with some tracks I wanted to put out. I was hanging out with this guy, Richard, at the time, and he decided he wanted to invest in doing a label. So we started this record record label called Impeccable Records. So that was my first record that I put out. We pressed up 97, Sci-Fi Witch Doctor. I go through periods, like usually it's 1 to 3 months of really on with my creativity, and then like a month or 2 off where it's not happening. I'm not feeling inspired with ideas, and those are times for me to work on other projects. And when I was younger, I would go through those spells of like writer's block or whatever you want to call it, and I would get really existentially, frustrated and like, am I ever going to make music again? But now I'm old enough, I know it's like those are just phases that I go through, and I just have to wait for those waves of inspiration to come.
Why do we do what we do, what we do?
I usually do like a batch of tracks in a different style at any given time. I'm like, I'm feeling this now, and I'll do like this new Solvoid project that I've got coming out. I did the full live set for that. It's all this sort of future-based, two-steppy kind of sound, my own weird take on it. But I just took 6 weeks and just pushed that through and really went in to see how far I could explore that headspace. And in doing so, developed techniques that I would never have come up with producing techno, but which when I go back to working on techno can then be applied to that. So techno is very craft oriented. It's a highly DJ driven style of music, which requires certain formalities in terms of intro and outro to make it mixable and all this kind of thing. Which for me, it's fun to have that craft, those parameters to work within, but it can also be restrictive as well, obviously. So then, it depends what mood I'm in. Sometimes I'm like, oh, I want to break out all those barriers and do something, way different. Other times, it's exactly what I crave, is to like have that form and structure. We've got our first 12-inch release coming out. It's gotten to that point where there's a demand for our music and our artists to be pressed on vinyl. And that'll be our 49th release. We have some other vinyls coming up, but then we're hitting our 50th release. It's called Arrow 1, and it's a mix compilation I did of material culled from the first 50 releases on the label. As far as myself, I've got some EPs coming out that I'm pretty excited with. Just had this EP out on Sightholder Records, my friends in Chicago, and I've got an EP coming out with Synosure, my friend Mike Shannon is doing that over in Berlin. On top of that, I've got my new Solvoid project, which I'll be bouncing some tracks down for soon, and hopefully, I'll be playing music for you. You gotta hustle if you wanna survive doing what you love. For me, the key to that has been developing multiple revenue streams. So I've got the music and the gigs and everything, but that's just one bit of the pie. I have my Ableton instruction. I work at the store a day or two a week, and I recommend that to anyone who wants to have an artistic lifestyle, is to cultivate those different ways to work, within their field, or at least related enough to their field that they don't feel like you don't feel like you're diverging from your life path. My agent didn't want me to tell you this, but he actually writes all my beats for me, so